Hello, what's up? I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time we've got new images regarding some Transformers Rise of the Beast toys. Now, there's a couple of masks, and then there was also this blaster that transforms into Optimus Prime, and then there's this Smash and Change Optimus Prime. I'm not going to talk about that too much, mostly because I'm not really that interested, and also we've kind of seen them previously. Although the masks look kind of cool, it's something I've done a video on previously. So, we're just going to focus on mainly these kid toys, and yes, they are more directed to kids, but I'm pretty sure for a Transformer collector, if you're interested in it, I'm pretty sure it's okay. In fact, some of the last ones we're going to talk about, I'm actually really interested in, and I kind of want to get them. But let's go ahead and start off with this, and I had to write some of these down. This is the Beast Mode Bumblebee. So obviously he's going to transform into the Camaro. This is more of the off-road style, and it's definitely Ghibli at the bottom. Now, yes, I am aware that these are kids' toys, but I'm still going to critique them because I feel like I should critique them. But yeah, the legs sticking out at the bottom there, not too good, especially with the feet. The rest of the toy is fine, you know, I like the fact that the headlights are painted. I actually don't mind the sword. It kind of reminds me of the Dark Snarlsaber from Transformers Prime, and I like the style of that. But for the most part, you know, it's the typical Bumblebee toy that we usually get for the movie, so, you know, not too much to talk about. Although you could definitely tell from the stock image that the painted hood is definitely going to be very different compared to the plastic yellow. And then we take a look at the robot mode. So much like Cheetor, he seems to have claws, so I'm curious to see if in the movie he'll have claws as well. But it's that typical, you know, Bumblebee movie style for the Camaro, you know, design that we've seen in the trailer, obviously. So there's not really too much to talk about here, other than the fact that, man, there's a lot going on with the legs, and I feel like it needs more paint. But then we take a look at this, which is apparently the Beast Mode, which has a bird head coming out of the chest. I imagine this is going to be mistransformed because it looks very weird. And then the door wings are replaced with wings, and then obviously he's got the sword, so it's a thing, it's a part of a gimmick. I don't know, with the term Beast Mode, you expect a little bit more. So again, I imagine this is something that's mistransformed because the bird thing inside the chest, it just looks like Laserbeak from that one Transformers Cyberverse Soundwave toy that had Laserbeak pop out. But yeah, kind of weird, don't really care for it. And then we take a look at the Beast Alliance toys. Pretty much everything is part of the sub-theme Beast Alliance. And these are the Battle Changers. We've got Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, and Rhinox. Now, we have seen Bumblebee and Optimus Prime previously. Optimus Prime has that more bulkhead-style alt mode, but we have not seen Rhinox previously, and I think his alt mode does look pretty cool. You can definitely see that the gray arms doesn't really blend with the rest of the body because it uses a much more, you know, kind of duller, much more cleaner gray compared to this brown and kind of bronze color for the rest of it, but I think overall it's okay. And then we take a look at the robot mode for the individuals. And I gotta say, I kind of like the proportions of Rhinox. He doesn't seem to have any elbow articulation, which kind of sucks, but he does have his little spinning Gatling gun thing, which I don't think can be removed. It seems like it's on a joint, but that's still pretty cool. He's definitely got very bulky legs, but for a character like Rhinox, I don't necessarily mind that. I like the gold in the chest and the head. Now, his design seems to evoke more of the original version of Rhinox, which had me a little curious because if you can see him barely in the movie trailer, it seems like he's going to be very different. He's got this little horn sticking out the front of the head, and I was kind of thinking why the kids' toys are more like the traditional designs of some of these characters than it is with the Rise of the Beast. And some people are saying, well, that might have to do with the concept. What I think it is eventually they could take this Rhinox and put it in the evergreen line and just give it the retro deco of the green and the brown. So maybe they're planning ahead with an evergreen toy release, and maybe some of these will be released for another line. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But that's just a little side speculation I wanted to touch up on. But still, not too bad. The Optimus we've seen, very bulky, very boxy arms, not sure if I'm into it. And Bumblebee looks okay, you know. He's fine, he's Bumblebee. And then we've got this. Now, we have seen the Primal, we have not seen the Optimus Prime. Now, what we didn't know was the name of the Target Master or Battle Master-esque figures. And this is part of the Beast Weaponizers. We've got Optimus Primal with Arrowstripe, which a lot of us thought was going to be Tigertron. And we also have Optimus Prime with Chainclaw, which, if I'm going to be honest, kind of reminds me of the Cybertron Snarl, and I kind of wish it was named Snarl, just for that reference. But the toys themselves look fine. I actually like how Optimus Primal came out. I think he's got a nice design. Now, again, he's got much more retro details with the head and the shape of the chest, which, again, continues my theory that a lot of these are, planned for if they ever want to do for the Evergreen line. But I think the Tigertron-esque Arrowstripe does look pretty cool, and I actually like the look of the Chainclaw. Again, I have to look back to see all the names, but Chainclaw looks fine. The Optimus Prime looks pretty basic, but, that's totally fine. I'm glad that there's more red and blue for Optimus Prime. And as you can see, Arrowstripe transforms into this crossbow, and Chainclaw transforms into a chainsaw, which most of these weapons are just going to be that they have the weapon attached to them, and then the beast just kind of folds up. It's kind of like that Freezer, which is now, I just realized, only a mainline version of some of these Battlemasters, which is totally fine for me, but a lot like that, or maybe the Lionizer from the Siege line, which I don't necessarily mind. I think this looks fine, as just a little gimmicky thing. And then we take a look at this line, which is going to be called the Beast Alliance Beast Combiners. Now, the first one we've got is Bumblebee and Snarlsaber, and this line is going to be a lot like the Cyberverse figures, where they had these vehicles that would attach over the character and would be able to transform around it, except this time that you can take off certain parts from that thing that will combine over their heads, and those will be able to form weapons. So first of all, we're going to take a look at Bumblebee. Again, typical Camaro. It's not even the off-road version of the Camaro, it's the original Camaro, so I think that's fine. You've got portholes on the side, obviously, to attach stuff, and yeah, it looks fine as a basic Camaro. Could use more paint on the front, but I think it's fine. And then we take a look at the robot mode, and the robot kind of reminds me of, if anyone remembers, the original Legends class Sideswipe, just how the arms are designed. Does anyone else get that vibe? But yeah, he definitely looks very long in the legs. And I do like the Snarlsaber figure. I think he looks pretty cool. I like the dark blue color scheme of that figure. That looks very nice. And again, it reminds me of something... It actually reminds me of something from Zoids, but it does remind me of that Cybertron Snarl figure that transformed into the wolf. And like I said, you got the weapon piece, that's the axe, and then the rest of the figure just covers over top. And you get a different head that's going to be the helmet. And I imagine you could swap these between the figures, but the funny thing about this is it looks like they gave Bumblebee cat ears, which is kind of funny to me. But yeah, not too bad for just a thing that's out there. And then we've got Arcee. Now, I will say that the bike mode looks a little clunky, but I actually really like how the bike mode turned out. I think that looks nice. It's very stylized and maybe a bit too much red, but for what it's worth, I think it's totally fine. And she comes with Silverfang. So yeah, another white tiger type thing. And her bot mode actually doesn't look too bad either. It looks more like a rescue bot figure, if I'm not mistaken, something in the vein of that. But yeah, I definitely don't mind. It's a very chunky version of Arcee for this new bike form, but I like the colors. And then taking a look at her combined form, so the wolf head will be able to plug onto the arm, and then the tail, of course, as typical, it transforms into a weapon. I don't mind the battle helmet, and I don't mind the paint job on the chest. I think that looks pretty nice. So yeah, not too bad here. And then we gotta take a look at this one, which I swear is a reference to the original Beast Wars toys. You'll get it in a second, but here's the Optimus Primal. And yeah, it's a very detailed version of the one that we already got with the other Beast Alliance line. I think it's the Beast Weaponizers. And yeah, you got the portholes on the top of the shoulders. Again, it reminds me of some of the Cyberverse toys and how they connect, so very similar to that. It seems to have a lot of blue for some of the paint applications, but, it's still got that gray and brown going on. It's fine, but then taking a look at the robot mode, and I do not like the blue on the head. I think it's a little too much. Now, the reference that I was talking about was the alligator. So that is Skullcruncher, which I feel like they're just reusing the name. It doesn't really associate to the original Skullcruncher. I'm not even entirely sure if he's going to show up in the movie, but still, that's fine. You got an alligator transformer, might as well give it that name. Now, I feel like that is a reference to the original Beast Wars toys, because the original figure for the Optimus Primal was paired with a crocodile version of Megatron. Primal transformed into a bat, but Megatron, instead of transforming into the T-Rex, transformed into the crocodile. So I feel like that setup is referenced here. So if that's the case, that's fine. And I think the crocodile mode does look pretty good. And then we take a look at the combination form, and, you know, that looks fine. Yeah, the limbs are sticking straight up of the shoulders. It looks out of place, but, you know, for what it's worth, that's fine. Also, it hides away that blue face, which looks really weird. And you can also see a porthole underneath the weapon here, so I'm curious to see if that's meant for anything else. Maybe you can combine it with something. I don't know, but that's interesting. Okay, so now for the line that I am intrigued by. So, with the Transformers Prime figures, when they were released in Takara, there were the ARMS Micron line. And what they had were these little Transformers that were basically minicons that would transform into weapons. But then you also had the capsule figures that were based on either they just made something up, or they based them on the characters of the Transformers Prime series. So Bulkhead would be made into an ARMS Micron, and he would transform into a fist. I've got a couple of them. They're actually pretty cool. And then, of course, we got the Battlemasters later on with the Transformers War for Cybertron line, and it seems like they're bringing them back, but this time they're using the Rise of Beast characters. So first of all, we've got Cheetor that transforms into a blade, which definitely reminds me more so of, I want to say, the Arcee from the Transformers Prime ARMS Micron capsule line. And I kind of like the way he looks, you know, I like the blade itself. I like the shape of that. That looks very nice. And then you could also see spots on the side, and he's got the right color. He's got the right yellow, so that's cool. And then take a look at the cheetah mode. He's definitely got long legs, but I'm totally into it. I like the head sculpt, you know. It's very small, but I'm totally fine with that. It's like a nice little desk toy to kind of bring up with some of the other figures. I'm curious to see if anyone's going to repaint this as Lionizer, or if they're going to repaint it as Lionizer for the main line. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But it's got kitten mittens! You know, it's always sunny in Philadelphia, so there you go. Anyways, we also have Rhinox, which looks like a Gatling gun coming out of a rhino's butt, which is kind of weird, but I do like the machine gun itself. I like the bronze color to it. And the sides actually do remind me of the machine guns from the Halo game, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, totally fine with that. I think it's pretty original. And taking a look at the Rhino mode, that looks adorable. I like that. The shaping and the sculpting of the Rhino itself, I think they do a very good job with it. Yeah, the limbs look out of place with the gray paint, but overall, not too bad. I'm actually very fond of this. You know, it looks good. And then we take a look at, this is Skullcruncher making a return to the line. And yeah, you got the peg on top, but other than that, again, I like the paint job. I like the sculpting of it. You know, it could be better for the paint, but I think for what it's worth, I think the colors blend very nicely. I love the shaping of the head, the spines, the limbs. It looks pretty good. And then taking a look at his blaster mode, I think that looks fantastic. I like the spikes now going to the bottom there. And you could port a blast effect to this, so that's pretty cool. And, you know, you got the limbs on the side, but I think because of its reptilian nature, then the gun sticking out, it actually kind of blends very nicely. So, yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. That's pretty much it that I really wanted to talk about. So what do you guys think? Please comment below, let me know. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and all those fun doodads. And I will see you guys next time.
AllSpark TV. Now that's just prime.